button pushing. It says that we're going to go live. Lorette's just joined us. Lorette's in the house. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kiddies and all ages, welcome to the really big show. My name is Fleecy Fresh. No, it's not. My name is Mitch Cammage. I am the Savage in Business, and this is MCC's virtual business box launch, December 3rd of 2021. Boys, Matt and Paul, remember we were doing episodes in April? We were doing episodes in May? We were doing episodes in June and July and August? It's December 3rd of 2021. What? I went back and looked last week. We have 22 hours of audio and video recording on this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, as always, on the Virtual Business Box Lunch, where we talk about the week that was in business. You need to pick your best radio voices for this, because if you don't, nobody really gives a crap. They're not going to come along. And with that in mind, let's get out of the way. Fuck. There we go. We said our one bad word at the beginning of all of it. I'm going to click the little box that says this is not suitable for children. So kiddies, you're going to watch it anyway because you're on your parents' YouTube account, and it's going to make you smarter just because of it. With that being said, it is a Friday, of course. It is lunchtime, and we're going to talk about the week that was in business. And while I do some button pushing for a moment, my co-hosts, my panel of speakers, you know, I got three of the people that are here pretty much every bloody week, all the time as well. So let's turn the floor over to them for a moment. I do a little bit of button pushing, a little bit of setting everything up, and then we're going to get into the week that was his business. Also, they sat there and ran the whole show last weekend. And Matt, I got the crack about Want to Be American. Thank you very much. Heard that part while I was doing the button pushing on the back end. So we'll have words later, sir. Outside of that, let's get into it as well. And as always, I am joined by my fabulous panel, but my brothers from other mothers. And on my screen right now, that's Matt, that's Paul. Guys, the floor is yours.
I'll start. It's all right, Paul. I'm Matt Hewson, working with both Paul, Mitch, and really everyone else on this game show today. It's like the Brady Bunch on my screen right now, so thank you. We, through MCC, are just here to help. We want to make sure that not only are you making money, but you're saving money in this strange time, and that we're just pushing to the goal line, which is now, 28 days away, and that we can get through December and then just start doing what we do all over again, January 2nd, when everyone kind of pops their head up out of the pillow after being maybe a little bit foggy the day before.
I'm Paul Zakowski, the other coach in MCC. And yeah, it's just moving you forward, taking the stress away, building your skills, putting some money in your pocket, and planning ahead. What's on the horizon? What's coming? What's 2022 going to look like for you? And, it's the ability to take that vacation, take that day off, and not have to worry about what's going on in your business. Lorette?
Guys, I'm still button pushing.
Yeah. My name is Lorette Lee. I run Phoenix Career Development. I'm an employment specialist. We teach the theory, practice, and choose your own adventure. And we also have the legendary journey, because the definition of a career is legendary. I couldn't do it as cool as Mitch. I'm sorry.
Scott, Danny?
You cannot ride shotgun mute on this show.
I'm not used to being on mute. No. I'm Danielle from DSOS Accounting and Bookkeeping. We are a financial one-stop shop for everything under the sun to do with money. Well, from the accounting side anyway. And
I'm Scott, Equal Leaf Corporation, Legacy Energy Renewables, and SOS Marketing, and I do lots of stuff, and I'm trying to do it right now too while we're in this week. So.
Multitasking on a Friday.
Awesome. Shane?
Hey guys, Shane Carter with SSI Group. Fractional CIO services provide that technology guidance that every business needs for any business within Canada.
Great. And we have a special announcement.
Uh-oh.
It's Danny's birthday.
Birthday, Danny.
Hi. Thank you.
So you're still working on your special day?
1 week. I come back on, need to finish the button push, and everybody's mute.
I laugh a lot, so I'm like, it's just polite for me to be on mute sometimes.
Yeah. We're all really good listeners. That's why we create success, is that we're all good listeners.
Oh.
And I will say, how many buttons are you pushing? Like, where are we sending this to?
Everywhere, of course. It's got to go on our social feed. So it goes out on Twitter, it goes on our Facebook, it goes on our LinkedIn, it's shared inside the syndicate chat. So our regular audience, our tribe of business owners can watch this live, come and join us while we're there. And now that I'm done most of that button pushing, I need to push one more button and then we can really get started for the week. So last week I turned it over to these two reprobates to be able to talk it through. I listened to some of it. We've already got 2 live viewers right now. Loving that stuff already. I hope there's no comments about it like, okay, boys, pitter patter, get after it. Let's do exactly that. December 3rd, 28 days till January 1st hits. January 3rd is going to come pretty damn quick. Not long after that one as well. And we're going to be screaming right into the new year. With that said, January 3rd just being away, we've hashed out the maximize your next 30 days, maximize your next 15 days, maximize your next 10 days, do 5 push-ups a day and drink a lot more water. Wonderful. What, first topic of the day, are we in for in the first quarter of 2022? Global, economic, regional, we're all centered here in Alberta, but it has bearing on North America. And for the little business owner where they tend to work just inside their own marketplace. First quarter 2022, what are we walking into? What do we got to be mindful of? And what do we got to pay close attention to for our own business so that we don't get it in the neck or the back and that we're further ahead than a lot of people, further behind this past year than ahead. What do we do to change that? What we got?
That's a
Paul
fabulous question.
needs to start.
I need to start. What was the question? You're talking about the first quarter. Exactly. First quarter of 2022, more of the same. Another this, another of that coming out, another get this, get that is as far as so-called main thing we've been dealing with for the past 2 years. I think people are ready to move on. I think we're going to find out that it's this thing that we don't talk about is just, slowly going to become regular. It's disappear. It's not going to be as dangerous anymore, and it's back to work. So I see a joyous occasion where people are able to travel. We can, do the things that we want, and we're not kind of corralled. So I see that things are going to be great moving forward. Now, on the inflation side, that remains to be seen. I think that's, it's going to continue to increase in 2022, not necessarily the first quarter. And I think it's just a matter of just keeping an eye on things. But I think closer to normal by the end of the first quarter of 2022. That little thing will be put in its box, put away, and we can get back to life is normal. And won't normal feel good? I don't know.
I need to go next because it may be a little bit of a challenge and people love to hear Paul and I fight. I agree that we're normalizing the situational awareness of what's going on just because we have been in it for 2 years. I think it's still going to be chaos, and chaos breeds opportunity, which makes people like me smile. And I think most of the people on this call smile as well, because we are just getting back to it and people are finding the new way around, through, under, over, whatever it may be. But there is still the core concept of need cash flow, need cost savings, need supply chain, and you need to have great people around you. And these people on this call are great people. So if you don't have them around you, you probably should. Because really, when you look at an org chart, we could basically take your C-suite and put it right here on a fractional basis. And all of a sudden, you now get to be frontline. You now need to get above your business. You can do all those things. So first quarter 2022, I'm super excited for, because again, I think there's going to be so much opportunity that's out there. And I look forward to kind of seeing what that looks like. There's a lot of new industry, a lot of new business that are coming out of it. And again, the software that we've been working on with our clients and teams. I'm super excited to kind of bring that into the market too.
Normal is a setting on the hair dryer. So like us weird people are like, no, that does not work. My concept for next year is unity. So everything within next year is alignment. It's going to be mind blowing. So like, you know how people are like, yay, Christmas. I'm like, let's get it done with. I'm done. So like Blue Monday happens and January already sucks. Like people have it going in, oh, January, but I'm like, oh, January is going to be legendary. I do believe it's a walk down memory lane. So I have goal setting classes like in January and December of this year. So like if you ever want to set up some goals, have some conversations with me. So like it really is, let's have an action plan to make like next year mind blowing. So like really one of the concepts that I'm working with next year is to be blessed. What does it look like to have an amazing life and like have all these amazing gifts like from the universe? What I'm setting up is 7 streams of income, 7 streams of spiritual growth. I did really well last week for like setting up 2 contracts, and now I got to make some more contracts. So I'm busy with business. That's the answer.
That's awesome. In the accounting world, January is busy time. So while everybody hibernates after eating too much over Christmas, we get to work gearing up for tax season. This year, my excitement comes in from being able to offer some more specialized services around crypto taxes. With cryptocurrency coming up as this fantastical new shiny toy that everybody wants to play with, we've obviously got some, let's call it legislation in its infancy when it comes down to just kind of navigating the way the government is starting to treat, to apply restrictions, to apply rules, break their own rules and add exceptions, as every good government does. Looking to navigate how to make sure people are being compliant, at least with what the rules are currently. I'm stoked. It's going to be so much fun. We're getting into crypto ourselves as a passive hobby, and I say passive lightly because it's a rabbit hole you can get lost down. But just learning how all of that comes into effect with taxes for me. 2022 is going to be so much fun. If you don't know what we're talking about with crypto, if you don't know what it looks like from the taxation side, number one, stick around today because it's an awesome action-packed afternoon full of information. But talk to Paul, talk to Matt, talk to Mitch, talk to people that are inside this ecosystem because there's and Scott. Cute. Love him. And talk to anybody inside this ecosystem because there's so much information and it's cool. Like when we're seeing a destabilization of markets, we're seeing a different stabilization of markets, but there's too much information to share in like a 3-minute blurb. But yeah, 2022 is going to be really exciting.
I feel like a horse in a race that's waiting at the gate and I need the gate to open. I'm launching the sales strategy for solar panels in the next week, so that's going to be big, and 2022 is just going to be off the chain. I see my industry growing. Me and Paul were having a conversation last week about in the US alone, only 1.6% of the houses have solar installed, so it's a wide open market with sky's the limit type of thing, and we're going to do something good for the planet and help people out with their energy bills. So pumped about that, and like I said, I feel like a horse just waiting at the gate.
Okay, now that we've shaken up the cobwebs a little bit, Shane, you got more to add, or what? You're good, my brother.
Yeah, there's actually a big push for businesses that have suffered from in-place working and moving more to a hybrid workplace and work from home solutions. Now that they're out of the crush of it, now they're actually entertaining it and putting in a lot of policies to allow for a hybrid work environment. More so in your professional spaces, so in the finance industry or professional services industries, where they don't necessarily need to have everybody in the same place in order to be productive. Businesses are now actually outsourcing to more of a kosher workspace and work from home solutions that allow their employees and executives to be more productive elsewhere. So pay attention to that. If you're a business that is not needing to be in a brick and mortar solution, there are other options out there for you, and definitely pay attention to them.
Now that we're there, and Shane's actually segued into it nicely, emerging and disruptive, first quarter of 2022. These are words we keep hearing right now. I'm going to reset something for a moment to talk about the fact that this is not emerging or disruptive yet, because it's bubbling to the surface. It came up today already. Crypto. Crypto has been here for over a decade. It is not emerging. It's not disruptive. Yet it's causing an emergence and a disruption because it's bubbled up to the surface on the radar of the common person, the common business owner, the common household owner, etc. When we go to 2022 and we have pandemic 2.0, in other words, year 2, year 3 happening, not year 1, year 2. Emerging disruptive is the term that we must take forward right now, because emergence and disruption are things like the need for multiple streams of income. And I don't mean like, I've got passive income because I did this, or I got more investments, or da. No, people need 2 or 3 or 4 jobs to be able to get by right now. Their jobs were downsized, perhaps because of hybrid models, being sent home from work, pay shrunk. Companies asked everybody to reduce the amount of money that was available in the marketplace. Everything's gotten more expensive for us. Milk, gas, eggs, etc., all continues to get more expensive. There's less money to go around, so people have had to start to do more things. First quarter 2022, what are emergent disruptive? What are the things that people have to pay best attention to? And what are the things people have to work towards? In other words, what do they have to do to make it? Let's get proactive. 28 days to wake up, get through the turkey hangover, get through the New Year's hangover. You got one day, Sunday the 2nd, and then Monday the 3rd is going to hit. What do people got to start paying attention to right away? That first quarter, emergent disruptive. You can go ahead and use those words a whole bunch. Let's use them so much so that, your brain goes, is that even a real word anymore? In fact, I'm going to keep a tally on how often emergent disruptive is used for the next 30 minutes. With that, make that happen.
Okay, well, I'm going to shove in another word that I think is going to be like really sparkly next year, which is resiliency. You know how like this year it was pivot? There's no more pivoting, okay? It's just resiliency. It's like putting on our big girl pants and doing it up, right? So I'm going to prime the audience. And like, honestly, next year with emerging and disruptive, maybe I could run an empire. Do you know what I mean? So like the people that are listening out in the universe of the internet, can you run an empire? So my first book is coming out at the end of this year, which is A Journey of Epic Proportions, Slay Some Dragons. And the theme and the concept of it is, can I run an empire? And if I can do it, you can do it. So that's how I'm priming, is like resiliency. Let's adult up.
Everybody sits quiet, like they're contemplating, like they've been meditating with Buddha. Get after it. Come on. You guys have all got voices. Let's use them.
I think what Lorette's saying is really important. Like resiliency definitely does go hand in hand with disruption. Like for me, like I said, coming back to the tax side, we're with COVID coming to what we hope to be a perceived end. There is still a lot of disruption around the understanding of how people are going to be taxed on the last of what they received from COVID supports. There is just no shortage of questions. There's this uneasiness because, say, for example, in 2020, a lot of people switched over. Like we saw the pandemic hit in about March of 2020, really, where it really started to disrupt the way we do business on the regular, right? Whether that was moving people to working from home, like Shane was talking about, the introduction of a more hybrid work situation. We saw the financial, that first influx of financial crisis last tax season. People were really just, this is brand new. We don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. This year's different. And this year's very uniquely different because people started going back to work. So now you're dealing with a hybrid of, I'm being taxed based on my regular job, plus I have these support systems that I needed and I didn't want to let go of because I needed them to, just kind of make ends meet. Because let's face it, how many people took advantage of deferred mortgage payments? How many people took advantage of deferred car payments? How many people took advantage of just deferrals where, in the world of accounting, deferral's a dirty word unless it's very, very carefully leveraged. Like deferral becomes a snowball. Think about the snowball starts this big at the top of the mountain. By the time it gets to the bottom of the mountain, it's a massive thing that's going to just well, like Mitch said, it's going to hit you upside the back, and so we ended up with, we're ending up with concern in the marketplace where people are like, well, what happens now? I went back to work. What do I have to pay back? What are my maximums? What do I need to keep in mind? Like, and for me, the piece of advice I'll go into the new year with always is budget for the worst case scenario, but understand that the worst case scenario is probably not going to be as worse as you think it's going to be, because the way they structured it, there is some flexibility where, yes, you may end up as one of those people that has to pay back some of your COVID benefits, which I'm not advocating for the government, I'm advocating for the little people. But understand that part of those systems were meant to be paid back. When they were introduced last year, the change over from the CERB to the CRB, for example, they told people in advance that there was going to be a cap. And if you earned more than, say, for example, $40,000, it's $38,500 in a given 12-month period, while you were collecting CERB or CRB, you were going to have to pay a percentage back. And that was what it was, right? Because there's people that went from making $200,000 a year to earning zero. Their wages got cut or their positions got cut, and then they got the opportunity to go back to work. Well, now you might make 70 or 80 or 100,000 in that partial year because your normal wage would be 200,000. Well, if the government asks you to pay back $3,000, you're going to have to pay back the $3,000, and it's just like, there's this weird misinformation in the market. There's a scare tactic that exists where people are like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to pay back every penny. Chances are you won't, but you may have to pay back some. But if you look at the marginal differences between what you could have collected as an employee, what you collected from the government, and then the percentage that they're going to ask for you back from you is not going to be any worse than if you do like an EI overpayment or an EI repayment. If you collected traditionally EI during two certain periods, you had overlap in your income and you were asked to pay back a percentage. It works exactly the same way. Why? Because the existing structure for how that was set up with EI already existed. So the government piggybacked on something like that, and they came up with a repayment system that is necessary. So read, get yourself educated. Number two, ask the right questions. Sometimes it's really tempting to just ask spaghetti questions, throw it up against the wall and wait for something,
or it's tempting to bury your head in the sand.
Also very, very, very tempting to bury your head in the sand. And like, being in a position where we deal with financial worry, the question isn't, am I going to have to pay it back? Okay, there's a large number of people that will, but it's how much and why, right? Is there a roadmap back out of the situation that you're going to find yourself in March, where you can go, maybe my lack of information was the reason why I didn't know this was coming, my lack of budgeting, or maybe the inability to budget because every penny was actually stretched too thin, which, hey, we live in a system where more of our money is financed than we actually make. Our houses we don't own, our cars we don't own, our credit cards are through the roof. Welcome to Alberta specifically. But I guess for me, it's like going into that, like the disruption is going to be around like that. You won't be able to not get yourself educated. If you choose not to get yourself educated, you will live in a system that is always in a state of disruption. But if you start to educate yourself, even if it's like little pieces, go subscribe to the Financial Post, go subscribe to there's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Young and Thrifty. Blogs like that are really easy to digest, but are going to give you really helpful pieces of information that are going to make either filing your taxes or budgeting or setting yourself back up to be working. The financial situation is going to be really, really critical, and education is going to be key. So if you want to get away from the disruption, educate.
Yeah. Well, going back to what Lorette's saying with resiliency, it seems like the foreseeable future is going to be survival of the fittest, and using your support structures and, the groups that you do business with, that you have faith in those business relationships with people. Money's going to be tight, and some people just aren't paying their bills, or they're maybe they spent their money in the wrong way and didn't support their business, the proper way. And, getting into business with that type of behavior is never fruitful. And it's going to come down to really analyzing the people you're doing business with, and, ensuring that they have the best intentions, and then keeping stuff within the group, right? Knowing that I can call Matt up anytime and he's going to, have advice for me is invaluable as a group. So, it's survival of the fittest, but we use each other to support each other as a group, right? So I think 2022 is going to be really important.
Well, it's like Matt said, right? Leaning on the group of people that either, whether it's this group or whatever your circle is, I mean, we're biased. We like this group of people, but having that incubation of people around you that are going to make or break the difference between how much of that disruption you feel, it's that perfectly feeds into the resiliency like Laura was talking about.
Who's next?
All right,
Keep going.
Disruption. The accountant sucked the air out of the room. Thanks, accountant. Way to go. Okay.
Sorry.
If somebody else, so Paul, you're not allowed to talk about finance in the first quarter. There we go. We're going to make sure no more money talk comes up. It's like, I'm not even going to talk now. He even went off camera for a moment. Bloody hell.
No money talk. No inflation.
I didn't mention the word inflation, not once. Okay, not once.
No,
Paul,
I'm
about
usually
crypto.
one always talking about that stuff, right?
Yeah. Talk about crypto, Paul. I want to hear more.
What would you like to know about crypto, Matt?
How is it going to disrupt the first quarter of 2022, Paul?
Probably more and more people are going to hear about it and want to jump in on it.
What does that do to the coins or tokens or the video games that we play?
Well, that's a really interesting question, Matt. What should happen here is that the price would go up as more and more people are attracted to crypto.
You're gonna have a lesson.
I am not a financial advisor, and my advice is not coin.
This is for educational purposes only.
Yeah. Consult
I am
your
not
regular
giving advice.
professional.
Like your accountant. Yeah.
You guys are covered then. You're under my umbrella for this conversation, okay? But I'm not responsible for what y'all say.
No, I think Matt brought up a good point. Gaming, right? The gaming industry is really going fast and furious into the crypto arena, crypto universe. So with all of the gamers that are out there, they're the ones that are going to push pace as the new metaverse has been coined, right? So we've already seen Facebook do that. We're starting to see a lot more big companies, big retailers moving in. Nike is moving in, Adidas is moving in. So I think metaverse is going to be the word of the year for 2022, and everything's going to follow in the crypto world on that side. That's my belief, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, it's crazy what they're doing, right? They have NFTs you can buy, and I look at it and go, we talk about it in our group, and it's like a good investment. And then if I went to my dad and tried to explain that to him, he'd look at me like I'm crazy.
But we're talking about generations that are like 65, 70 plus, looking at it going, what the hell are you guys talking about?
You're buying a virtual thing.
So
Okay.
how much did you pay for that virtual thing? Like I was in one of our games, and the top tier for the NFL football NFT was $400, not like the fancy version, but like the higher end version was $450 for a little icon of a football helmet. And people are going, what do I do with it?
Get them before they're gone.
My friend waited about like all night to get us like a Matrix NFT, and I'm just like, this is dumb. But he's gonna make a shit ton of money eventually. But he sat there and was like, I'm buying this thing, and he waited to be like, okay, I'm next in line. Okay, I'm next in line. It's things are happening.
The stuff with Snoop Dogg, like we were like Death Row Records.
Yeah,
right?
he has Death Row Records, like their emblem, but Snoop Dogg is sitting in the electrical chair. That sold for 1.4 million in March.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like and it's a digital picture of Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Then they only made one.
And they only made one, right? And it's like you'll see these things where, like, say for example, in like the sports world, there's like they're allowing like let's say 20 or 30 or 40 of things, or several hundred. But then you get into like the entertainment world, and you get these big icons that are like regularly just huge. And where, normally I'm going to support Snoop Dogg, I'm going to buy an album, or I'm going to do this, and it's going to cost me $10 to $20. Now you end up with these novelty items where this, excuse my language, but the lucky son of a bitch, they got the one Snoop Dogg picture. That's going to be worth a lot of money, but you have to be interested in the long game. You have to be able to see the bigger picture. And right now we're talking about a bigger picture that literally is inside your head and inside a metaverse. So then you start like piling that on top of like people like our dad's ages, and it's just like,
it's like having the foresight in 1980 to get a Wayne Gretzky rookie card.
Yeah.
And at the time and place, the NHL wasn't what it was then, and Wayne Gretzky wasn't the legend he was then. And
but now,
now these people that have these cards, they're worth $1 million each, and they're very few and far between.
Well, and whatever it is, like We're just so used to having physical objects in our hands, though, right? Like a rookie card is something you can physically hold. If you collected all the Disney movies on VHS, that's worth something. You collected the celebration, anniversary, New Year's Barbie dolls. Those are physical items that you can hold on to that, weirdly enough, like back in the day, we wouldn't have thought was going to be worth a lot. Now you're looking at something that costs, what, $1.4 million for a picture of Snoop Dogg. That could be worth tens of thousands of, or tens of millions of dollars in 5 years, as people are decorating the walls of their virtual houses, right?
Virtual man cave.
The virtual man cave.
Well, and I'll interject just a bit here. It's interesting to me because you want to talk about disruption or like new forms of industry. Like, to me, creating an accounting software, a legal software that will help with trademarking of this, right? Because again, they're only making one. Well, guess what? Like, I saw it. You can, like, the guy who right-clicked and saved it as JPEG, right? Like, that's the things that I see as being disruptive, is that if you can create this digital arm within the metaverse, whatever, like, really, we live in the matrix, but it, like, you're buying virtual real estate because it has the same properties now that real estate did 20 months ago, right? And you're now buying these NFTs. And I've watched a podcast, listened to a podcast, and they were saying, listen, very few people will have the money to buy these valuable, the one-offs, but they need to look at it as part of their business. Like, the business owner now needs to create their one-off NFTs and sell that as a revenue source and a longer term investment, right? So that, to me, is where the disruption is with that. And again, like, I dabble and I listen, but to me,
the question is where's the market cap with that? Does it turn into something like fidget spinners where you couldn't sell these things to people now after a while?
It becomes so saturated.
Or does the market go towards like the fine art type of ideal where it's, oh, this NFT was created by, this kid in his parents' basement in Germany, and he's the most sought after NFT artist in the world.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I was sitting there and I was reading a blog, and it was about and I'll tie this into like what Lorette said earlier about 7 streams of income in 2022. When we're talking about disruption in the market, we're talking about less conventional forms of business, right? Like, our 13-year-old is a massive art, like, she's a developing artist. We love her art. She makes beautiful things. And, these platforms for NFTs are giving kids, like, let's talk about 14, 15, 16-year-olds, like under the age of 18. We're talking about giving them a real opportunity to make money, because they can take drawings that they've made, they can scan them into these programs, and they can make NFTs that are so creative. Like, unfortunately, I do believe in some regards, as we get older, we get a little less creative. Our world experience gives us different creativity, but we are going to never have that same level of like blind creativity without all of the negativity that we develop and realize is out there in the world as an adult. So you get these kids, and if they can sink their teeth in to things, well, I'm going to come into being 18 with 1 or 2 or 3 streams of revenue already. That's a disruption in what we've seen, where traditionally, like when I was 13, I flipped burgers at A&W, and nobody ever had the opportunity for me to take my art, which I was a doodler. I would have loved to do that, but that didn't exist back then. Now we're talking about 13-year-olds being able to walk into the metaverse and make potentially millions of dollars, depending on, like you said, making that one-off, making that original, making that name for themselves inside a market that would normally have excluded them if we're talking about a physical gallery. If you look at the statistics for known worldwide artists that are under the age of 18 on a global fine art scale alone, it's almost non-existent. Until you're 18 or 20 or 25, you're just not able to break into that market. So now you've got our young people walking into 18 with 2 or 3 or 4 streams of revenue. We're going to see a huge disruption across multiple marketplaces on just what that residual or that different type of mentality walking in. Like, we're not talking about millennials anymore. We're talking about the next generation that is being entitled. Well, they're going to be motivated.
It's just like cryptocurrency. I mean, Paul having conversations. Like, I'm hearing this is happening. Where'd you hear that? I heard it from, my kid. You're like, it must be a sound investment then.
Yeah. But it's a different way to look at things. So if you want to talk disruption, absolutely. We're going to see the ripple effects for this for the next 10 to 20 to 30 to 50 years, depending on what the horizon looks like.
Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Do you not know anything about it? Do you want to discount it? Do you want to say that that's just stupid? you know, those can be a lot of what the disruptors are. So it's taking that initial thought of, I want to do things this way because it's always done this way, or nobody in my ecosystem is doing it. So right away, I'm just going to say that it's dumb, or I don't have time. Well, we do. And there are so many things on YouTube. There's podcasts. Like, what is the best way for you to learn a little bit of information about it, even if it's in the background? Because, you know, what we've been talking about here is different terminology, different words, acronyms, a metaverse, gas, DeFi. Like, you've already lost 95% of the audience.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have to come with more, I believe we have to come with more of a curiosity instead of a discount. I go, that's crap.
Well, the people thought the same thing about the stock market,
And
you know.
it's just
And
gonna
accounting.
separate-
That's where I was headed.
And accounting.
It's
Yeah.
just it's gonna separate the you know, idealists from the people that are just gonna hold themselves back eventually, you know.
Yeah.
With new technology, you know, like, again, not to pick on my dad, but you know, he bought a brand new computer when it came out. Thing never got hooked up to the internet. It's in mint condition, first generation Pentium 1 processor. I'm sure it's worth money now, and he just never wanted to pay for the internet because he couldn't see that vision. Well, you know, his life suffers now. He has no idea how to use the smartphone. He has no idea how to interact in public almost anymore. And it's, well, technology, you got to keep up with it to some degree, you know, varying, right? And again, we use the group to support each other. So what I find out, I want to share with everybody, and I hope that, you know, I know Paul and Matt, when they find stuff out about crypto, they're sharing with me and Mitch and you know, the other people in the group. So, you know, it's how you stay ahead of the curve with technology, is maybe using more of a tool approach rather than a I'm going to do this all myself type of mentality.
But it's also, sorry, and I just want to add, just like where it's important with like kids and parents, because there's definitely been times in our society where your kid comes up to you and says, "Oh my God, did you hear about this?" And you're like, "Well, that sounds stupid," right? And they push them away. Like, our kids are going to come home from school and say, "My friend is doing this. My friend knows this. This is the music I'm listening to. This is the game I'm playing. This is the stuff I'm doing." And like being more receptive to what our kids are telling us, like across this room here that I can see, like just the people I can see right now on this screen, we have, you know, kids that range from, you know, say from like 3 or 4 all the way up to their mid-20s. And you have this whole gambit of opportunity to hear about things, like, because we're so tuned in, right? Like, we see our own ecosystems, even though we're very open-minded and we're looking for all this stuff, we're never going to find the same things because we're just not in that same receptive audience level. Like, we don't go sit outside the high school and listen to high school students. Please don't do that. That's weird, you know. But if you have a high school student, they're going to come back to you at home if you give them the environment to talk and digest and work through, because they're going to throw out nuggets and they're not even going to know what it means. But then you, as the adult, if you're inside a different level of that ecosystem, you can go, "I know what you're missing. Okay, here's the knowledge that you need in order to develop this." And removing the barriers between parents and kids, and that, well, you're just an idiot. You're a kid. You don't know anything. And then, you know, as an adult being like, we know everything or we don't, like just making that merge so that we don't end up with Pentium computers that are sitting in a house that are in mid condition, which is nice. But
like we're at the generation
are
that
you
our parents
saying
thought
that?
we were.
yes,
Where they just like,
saying
you're a teenager.
my
you're taking
turn to
the
talk.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. All I was going to say, Danielle, is are you saying that adulting crushes creativity?
I'm saying that there is a lot of negative things about being an adult. I just don't think we're going to get that same pure level of unfiltered creativity that we did at the age of 12 or 13, before our first date, before our first kiss, before our first heartbreak. Now, to be fair, different types of creativity, because heartbreak and love and all those other things that we get as adults change. And you see the emergence of different types of passion that fuel different types of creativity, but just that unfiltered, I don't understand all the negativity in the world. You're never going to get the same thing. Like, yeah, absolutely. To a degree, adulting, it morphs creativity. It doesn't destroy it.
Who's worried about being creative when you're trying to figure out how to pay the power bill?
Well, right. That's the problem. It's that you've got these other problems. Like, I would love to be running my heart projects all the time, but they don't pay the bills, you know, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. And that's where we go back to 7 streams of income. You have to practical disruption says I have to be able to acknowledge that I need 1 or 2 that are there meant solely to pay the bills. If you happen to be lucky enough that your heart projects pays your bills totally, awesome. But the reality is we always have to have a combination, right? We have to have the ones that pay the bills.
All right. I'm going to jump right in the middle here. Seriously, that's what we went to. So we've spent 40 minutes only talking about cryptocurrency and whether or not we're doing art. Okay?
I love this session today.
I love this session too today. Not fucking practical.
No.
First quarter 2022. Here comes the next bad word. What the fuck do we need to do? Shane left. He's like, I got other places to go. No, guys, I love you to pieces. And that is 100% important and integrative to business owners, family members, parents, dealing with aging parents, dealing with younger children, children keep on coming. These are parts of it that have to come back into. If we do not reintroduce play and we don't reintroduce the idea of something that is central to this discussion every single week, foundation of relationship, we are fucked in 2022 if we do not make considerations for different ways to look at what we do with money, how we do with money. How many business owners out there are taking crypto as a payment methodology? That's really weird. No, you put your hand down. I'm not asking. This is a rhetorical statement and question, or I will turn your camera off or boot you. Not only will I boot you from this session, I'll report you to Zoom. Love you too. Zoom's gonna be like, we can't come back anymore, right?
Happy birthday, Danny.
Happy birthday. That one right there. God, love you. No, you are 100% correct. But we got 5 minutes left. That first quarter, we are 100% right. Disruption due to economy, job, earnings, family units, what's going on with kids at school. Kids are doing things in a very different way as well. And Scott, to your point about technology and the way it's evolved so quickly against, let's say, our parents' generation. My parents are a prime feature. It's really tough to talk to my mom about my second son who's trying hard to become a professional gamer. I'm gonna do air quotes for a while because, like, can he make any money at it? Yeah, he can. Is he making any money? No, he's not. Well, maybe he needs to do something else. Would you say that if your kid was playing third-year college ball at a US college on a scholarship? He's not making any money. Okay, Scott, do not go down the rabbit hole about college players not getting paid. We know how that works, right? But so each of these is a different disruption point, a different learning point, a different thing to do. Is it viable in our current marketplace? Yes. Can it be profitable in our earnings potential? Yes. So for our last 5 minutes, we got that last quarter. We know that taxable disruption, Canada, US is coming in other marketplaces. We know that the shift in cryptocurrency has created a difference of lens in the way we're going to get paid than before. Hell, we've talked so much about cryptocurrency. I haven't even allowed Matt to crack open the door when it comes to things like barter. Barter economy is live and well. You don't have to have a formalized system with its own currency unit that works differently than fiat currency as well. One of Matt's other businesses, Barter Pay. There's literally barter dollars. I have an account in barter. I've got accounts in crypto. I'm willing to take crypto in business. I'm willing to take barter in business. I'm willing to take US dollars, British pound sterling, euro, Japanese yen, Aussie bucks, Canadian, doesn't matter what it is.
Firstborn children.
Yeah. No. I had to think about that for a moment. No. Not the value that they once were, right?
You gotta feed them.
Got to feed them. Have you checked the price of groceries? Talked about disruption and that as well. So first quarter 2022, all those set out of the way. Everybody have one thing. You got, so Danny, happy birthday. 30 seconds. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get any more time than that. But 30 seconds, one thing, one takeaway that is not, watch out for your tax bill, watch out for cryptocurrency. Because the disruption is very, very real. What's the thing that people have to focus on next? Not the disruption. What's the thing they got to do? What's the one thing? So take a moment, mental push-ups, stretch, flex, roll your back out. But one thing that they have to do, must do. Failure to do this, and it's okay if it doesn't work, because we're all living in the, Matt's point, we're all living in the matrix, but we're all living in the disruption point as well, which means that if we don't leverage, we don't work, we're not willing to try it, it's never going to work. And the old way does not work anymore. Does not.
Okay, I'm going first. Number one, there's been a lot of dream killers going on. So I'm not going to kill a dream. I believe real life is play. There's 400 reps to create new synapses in your brain. But if you're playing while learning, it takes 10 to 20 reps of that. So fucking play. Creating and being the fool will save us to help us learn to be a wise sage.
Mm.
That's a good one.
All right, birthday girl, you're up next.
Okay, mine is the coolest thing that we've discovered in 2021, which is a program, and it's not necessarily just this program, there's others like it. It's called Roundly. What it does is it reframes your casual spending, the dollars and cents off every single purchase that you make, and gives you the option to either save it or invest it. Every bank has a program that says you can like dedicate like your $10 or $5 a month, and you can automatic like put it into your savings account. These programs are coming out where they're allowing you to not change any of your spending habits. All they do is ask you to pitch your threshold. Do you want to round up to the nearest dollar, the nearest $5, $10, $20, $30, $100, whatever it is, and it automatically moves the excess into a holding account. And then when you pick your threshold from there, so all my dollars and cents add up to $200. Every time it adds up to $200, I wanted to invest in this crypto, or I wanted to put it into this stock. I'm not allowed to talk about crypto, but it's a really interesting way to not change. Like, yes, we need to adapt and stuff like that. We're talking about disruption, but can you make your money work smarter for you by just moving something passively? Like, I will go spend $27.63 at the grocery store. Well, the other 7 cents that even it up to the next 10-cent mark goes and gets passively invested over time. As business owners, we do this, and then in our personal life, we do this. We can add up to a lot of passive savings, which can really help either create an emergency fund, a rainy day fund, or get us over the hump for struggles with cash flow because we're forcing ourselves to do the savings. That's my
Scotty, what you got?
Mine's like really just take a look at your marketing and maybe if you're doing the same thing everybody else is and it's not working for you, try to come up with a different innovative way of getting your brand or your products out there. And it's always going to be whatever the group is doing, you need to do something a little different because you need to get noticed apart from the herd. So maybe over the Christmas break, reevaluate your marketing strategies and say, what separates me from my top 5 competitors? What really singles me out? And then maybe that's your marketing strategy going forward in 2022 is, what makes you different than your competitors.
Paul?
What can you make money on that you're already doing within your business? Sometimes as we're experts in certain fields, we don't realize we're as expert as we really are. So, maybe it is something as simple as recording yourself and creating a course, maybe an Udemy course or an ebook or something along those lines. So it's still within your company, still within what you're doing, but you're able to leverage that a little bit more, make some money on it and gain a bigger audience.
Matt?
Forge unbreakable bonds with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your peers by asking questions and truly listening. Play Roblox with your kids because apparently gaming like that is going to be able to make them and you money.
Yep.
I'm going to come to that. I'm going to touch on disruption for a moment and everything. Lorette, Danny, Scott, Paul, Matt, brilliant. Why should you play Roblox with your kids? Can anybody, show of hands, tell me why they added Minesweeper and Solitaire to the first computers when they had a graphic interface? Anybody? They were teaching keyboard and mouse skills to the average adult. Both those games were added for the very first time to teach you how to use a combination between a keyboard and a mouse and 1 and 2 button click. Click and drag, click and hold, drop, backup functions, and then be able to navigate in and out of games were added for the very first time to train onboarding in how to use a computer. So one, Lorette's absolutely correct. Comment at the bottom. Look at how far we've come. Secondly, what is our current marketplace teaching us? Something I used to ask financially a long time ago, and yes, this does for a moment touch on disruption and cryptocurrency, but it's a very valuable tool to think about. Once upon a time when I would talk to business owners face to face, I would have them pull out their phone, hold it up in the air and say, how many people have this right now? How many people have it within arm's reach, right? Everybody here right now, unless you're actually on your phone, can pick it up. How many people can use this and in the next 30 seconds access their personal banking? How many people in the next 30 seconds can access their business banking? How many people can do both in the same place? How many clicks or thumb swipes does it take to get to your banking information, your crypto accounts, or your local ordering app for food, etc.? How far do you have to swipe or navigate to be able to get in there? So how well organized is this when it comes to accessing business information? That touches on something Danny said earlier. How quickly, how many swipes or how many clicks with your finger does it take to get into your crypto account, your banking information, your business dashboard, your CRM, etc.? We have not been training ourselves well enough to use what technology is already asking us to do. And what could you do to be better at it, or faster, or more nimble? Play Roblox with your kids.
Yeah.
Why? It is literally teaching you to use this better. Well, this is stupid. Is spending time with your children dumb?
It also teaches you how to code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So games like Roblox, etc., are literally teaching you certain functions. Certain games online, things. I've been playing this ridiculous little game called AFK Arena for over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it's actually building? More resilience, more connectivity. I talk to people. I've got a guild running. It's literally teaching you certain mapping when it comes to social structures, business skills, etc. Oh, well, this is ridiculous. Why would you play that? Don't you have to pay to play? No, you don't have to pay to play. If you want to pay more to get further ahead, what is it also teaching you there? It's like some people that have money have money. No, it's teaching you to marshal your resources.
Yeah.
Being really specific. If you got $5 and you decide you want to spend it on a game to get yourself a little further ahead, you got to be really specific on how you're going to spend it. Other people are frivolous and burn through money. Back to Danny's point about being able to marshal up, round up, whatever is going on with your dollars, or to think of it in different ways. NFTs, funds, crypto, barter pay, doesn't matter what it is teaching us to think differently about the way we leverage money.
Yeah.
Become musts for us in 2022. When we go into the new one, if your business doesn't take crypto, you need to take crypto. If your business doesn't take barter or some portion of exchange economy, then you are deliberately hurting your business for the sake of ego. If you don't talk to your employees about whether or not you should allow them to work from home, hybrid model, or change the way they come to work, you are deliberately hurting your business. If you don't invest in relationships, and that's something that Matt has been beating that drum. Now, we are all members of the same organization, and we've got other organizations going on, but Matt has been deliberately beating that drum for well over a year. And language, forge unbreakable bonds, is something that he says often. I know right now the two people on this call, Lorette and Matt, and on my screen, they're right here cornered together, right? It's something they discuss between each other on a regular basis. The sum part of the 6 of us on this call right now are far smarter than any one of us put together. If you're not willing to invest in relationships, look at the way you take money differently. Invest in time with your family when you do have it. Use it to teach yourself something. And because of the speed at which we can educate ourselves in the form of other resources out there like Blinkist, Audible accounts, etc., you're deliberately making yourself dumber. So in the first quarter, absorb a book a week. Well, I got to listen for 6 hours. What the fuck else are you doing for 6 hours? Right?
While you cook dinner every day. While you cook dinner, half an hour every day. You're going to do it anyway. Wash
You're
the
going to
dishes.
spend 15 minutes in the shower in the morning. You're going to spend an hour cooking dinner and cleaning up dishes at the end of the night. That's an hour and 45. You can plow through an average book in a week. Somebody else does the reading for you. You don't even know how to read. You can just listen.
Yep.
And it makes you smarter because of it. Invest in financial education, invest in new relationships, invest in a different way of doing business, listen to more books, etc. Because it's already here and you are. The 6 of us on this call right now are further ahead than you are. And guess what? We're all behind.
Yep.
All of the 6 of us here right now are behind. And in more than one area. All right. 12:58 p.m. virtual business box lunch. Matt, Paul, Danny, happy birthday. Scotty, always good, my brother. Lorette, she's like our queen on these calls because she's only missed like 3 since we started or something ridiculous like that.
It's true.
Without you guys and our birthday girl, thank you so much for coming on as always. Matt, Paul, we're going to be literally switching Zoom rooms. Then I'm going to be hearing your voices again for like the next 45 or 50 minutes because Syndicate Talks is coming in hot Yeah, you guys are up next. Yeah, you are. You're not leaving, and you're the ones that are going to be doing all the talking. So I don't care what you think. Yeah, you're gonna. Paul's like, I don't want to shoot video. You're shooting a lot of video today, my brother. You're at it no matter what. The birthday girl's also going to be coming back. So hey, December 3rd, 2021. The first quarter's coming in. It's disruptive. It's already here. It's already messed with you. It's already made you opportunities. You're already behind. So what you got to do? One, come back and listen every single week to get more advice, suggestions, and brain muscle mass for yourself when it comes to you and business. Two, invest in those things that scare you a little bit because that's what life's about. It's part of the delicious flavor. Going to a restaurant and trying something new for the first time, playing a game with your kids, even though they can kick your ass. Doesn't matter if they're 6 years old. They're going to whoop your ass anyway. That's still competitive because for now, because if you really want to beat them, go break out the Nintendo rip-off system, put Mario Brothers in, and then whoop your children's ass and go, that's right, Daddy still got it. Daddy still got it. But then they're going to beat your ass at Roblox. That's the cycle of life. The young will take down the old and eat them at some point. Will always work. Push, educate yourself, surround yourself with good people, think about money very, very differently, and come back here next week for our next virtual business box lunch. Matt, Paul, my brothers, thank you so much. I am your host. I am the Savage in Business. We are Brokers of Certainty, and we will see you next Friday as we continue screaming towards the inevitable cliff that is 2022. Now in stereo, right? All right, we'll see you next time on this one. And hey, we love